only level
This is
15
the
for
solemn
about
duty for which you were born.
10 hours into the game.
Defend democracy
15.
at any cost.
Played in party of 4. Played quick play. I never actually tried solo to a degree. Tried it a few times earlier on. It didn't seem like something that the game was designed for. So let's start there. I think one of my biggest issues with this game is you're forced to play a certain way. Quick play is mostly not viable, in my opinion. I think it's really badly designed, especially with the amount of difficulties in quick play. It's not designed well. If they were going to do it like this, I think they should have made them 3 difficulties. Having 9 or whatever is mostly pointless. I'm not a fan of loaded difficulty. So quick play, although you can play it, you're going to end up probably wasting a lot of time. It's not going to be fun a lot of the time. Maybe you come into people who are accidentally killing you or killing you on purpose. So overall, I wouldn't really recommend quick play, although if you play on lower difficulties, I guess it is playable, but probably just more boring at that rate, and then if you play higher difficulties, then you're just never going to get anywhere.
There's something here.
And then playing solo just seems, for the most part, to be terrible as well and not viable. So realistically, you're forced to play in a party,
Sample collected.
which is fine, but getting a party together can be very difficult. Getting them together consistently is just very difficult. And honestly, the entire design of live service just doesn't lend itself well to the design of this game in any capacity, or even, well, I won't say live, just multiplayer, right? The game doesn't really make any sense design-wise. And then past all those issues, you run into the issue of the game is extremely basic, bland, and repetitious to the point of just insanity. I'm actually just shocked that it has this much of a following based on, you know, cool things happening here and there, or the drop-in effects, the bombs, like the orbital bomb and the eagle runs and stuff like that, which are cool. But once you've done them 50 times, you know, is it really that interesting anymore? Not really. And then you get into the weapons and some of the drop-in mechanics. I will admit, like getting dropping in an anti-material rifle.
Requesting advanced weaponry.
Dropping in a guard dog. Pretty cool.
Deploying equipment package.
Cool mechanics, cool things to drop in. I really like this anti-material rifle. And this guard dog is super useful for protecting. With that being said, one of my biggest issues with the game is that you're essentially a multiplayer-based progression game. That's what this is, right?
Say hello
but there
to
is
democracy.
really got to be some of the worst progression in a game I've ever seen. Especially in a game where you figure the progression is integral to the game, because there's really not much going on outside of the progression. You're running the same thing, the same monsters. It's all, I guess it's procedurally generated, but it's terrible procedural generation. It's basically the same thing over and over to the point of insanity. Like, you thought Starfield was bad from procedural generation.
Have a taste of democracy.
This is pathetic. Okay. So realistically, you've got a kind of boring, bland design that's very repetitious. You're forced to play a specific way in a team, and really quick play and matchmaking isn't even a viable means of playing the game in any capacity.
Reinforcing!
So, on to the next point is...
Request approved. Reinforcements on
continue
the
on
way.
with guns and progression. if you look at the progression, it's terrible.
Ready
There's
to
really nothing
liberate.
to even acquire pretty much for the most part. You get to about level 10, 15, you acquire some of the drops, you acquire some of the cool things like the guard dog, and you're pretty much done. And then you've got weapons, which again, very bland. There's almost nothing interesting. There's almost nothing that's good as well. Everything feels like you're shooting nothing at people and they're just not dying. Except for the shotgun. This seems to be one of the only viable weapons in the round.
Mag's empty. Reloading.
But really, you had one primary gun that was good and you got nerfed. The rest of them are just feel like you're shooting them. So, when it comes down to like having fun with the core weapons and mechanics, it's very difficult because it just feels so weak, especially as you ramp up at difficulties and you see a lot of other bugs and automatons. You start to see they take a lot more ammo. Charge.
Mag's empty.
Very, unless you have the right tools for the job,
Reloading.
that thing's not gonna work.
Last reload.
And I will say that's kind of an interesting
Mag's
part of the
empty.
game is how they made it. You have to run specific armor counters to counter the crushers and to counter. So it's like there is a little bit of build in there. I just
Mag's
wish
empty.
it was substantially more. I wish there was way more design with the armor. I wish there was more design. So essentially,
Nothing in the
you've got a
chamber.
game that is Gears of War, which I will say the shooting is done fairly well. Is it on par with the Gears of War?
Hive structure
Probably
destroyed.
close. I think Gears of War is probably the pinnacle of third person. It's very good shooting, very good fluid. The jumping. How do you do them
Mission
again?
at 30 minutes remaining.
The jumping, you can kind of jump back
Bug
and
tunnel
forward
breach.
and sideways, like very fluidly, and shoot your weapon. I'll try to jump back.
Found something.
You can kind of jump backwards and shoot. So it's very fun design. And kind of cool sequences where maybe you pop out and really shoot somebody.
Bug hive spotted. How'd you like the taste of
The
freedom?
gunplay overall, I would say, is probably the shiny part of the game, and really part of the gear that's even adequate. We're about. Where are we on this mission? So basically, you drop down, you go around the objectives, destroy bug holes,
Reloading.
repair things. It's pretty much the same thing over and over again. There's not really even that much variation in it, but it is fun to a degree. I can see the game adding in, more encounters later on, hopefully, that kind of make it more interesting. And I'm sure they're gonna add a whole lot. The thing about design of these games is they come out as a shell, and this is very much a shell. I don't know why it receives so much positivity, which this is an absolute shell. The only positive thing is it's not full price. If this was $60, I would absolutely zero recommend this if it was $60. I think you
Max
throwing your
empty.
$60 down the drain for the most part, unless you have like a core dedicated team that's always available and you can actually play consistent. And even then, maybe is the game progression wise and interesting enough to keep you involved and interested in the game? Probably not. Okay, so we're progressing through this mission. I think we're on. We have to destroy a hive installation over here. So we'll go do that. There is a lot of drop something. So we've got Eagle Rock. One thing that's kind of frustrating in this game is you're a little too slow.
How'd you like the taste?
I know you can wear the lighter armor. That's about the only thing that armor really
How'd you like the
affects.
taste
You'll
of
have
freedom?
speed, you'll have light, medium, heavy armor. It'll affect your move speed and your stamina recharge. On some of the heavier armors, I find it. What is going on? I am surrounded by fire. Like, what? Completely surrounded. And the good news is I'm protected. And my guard dog is taken out. This is interesting too. They added this in post launches. They have fire tornadoes, they have EMP effects and things like that kind of take effect randomly. Although this one I kind of like. There is an EMP one that stops your powers. I do not like that. So, this is kind of cool though. We got tornadoes way over there. Like certain things like this, they are cool and they do add to the procedural generation of the game and not what's gonna happen. So this is actually kind of cool. Okay, there's a help this guy. I'm running out of ammo. And another thing about playing the party, or not
Mag's
playing,
empty!
just playing quick play, is you're very open to friendly fire.
Calling
Because
in
the entire game has
reinforcements!
friendly fire in quick play or in capacity, which you kind of need it because
Request approved.
the
Deploying
orbitals and stuff.
reinforcements.
If you drop one of those in a team, you should be penalized. Now, I think what they should do though, is to disincentivize team killing is actually take something away from the player.
Tagging map, southwest,
How do I-
close.
And then I can't remember.
Bugs.
You can actually go into a first person mode. And then go that short. It's alright. It's a high damage sniper weapon. Pretty cool weapon. So yeah, like the game can be a lot of fun. I'm not saying it's not.
Damn you!
But I just think for the most part, it's a terrible version of Gears of War. Realistically, you're dropping in and just repeating the same content. It can be very boring. I think the difficulty scaling is terrible. What are we on this mission? This is funny. I'm just trying to like get to this. What are we trying to kill here? Destroy eggs. Oh, okay, destroy eggs. You know what I'll do? Let me go throw a little bomb in here and see what happens. One of the issues I have too is your stamina. It's very annoying to kind of manage. Stamina.
Calling in an orbital strike.
I just wish the
Orbital
stamina
strike
was a little
incoming.
higher constantly. Let's finish up this mission. We're taking hold. The only thing I really haven't talked about is story, which obviously I don't want to crap on the game anymore, but the story is pretty much non-existent. The introduction, you come in, you get a slight introduction that's a little funny, really, right? But it's not really.
Mag's empty!
It's not really a game that you're gonna play for story. That's why I don't play as much as
My
it doesn't
life
have
for
a story, so
Super
if
Earth!
that's what you're looking for, definitely do not play this game. For 100%.
Mag's empty!
Because realistically, you're just a whatever you want to call it, marine type character, Helldiver character. You're killing bugs,
Get some! Get some!
protecting your super, protecting
You have ignited the torches
That's
of
really all
liberty.
you do.
Extraction awaits.
Which is fine. I think in a game like this, you're actually better to make it a very simple story. 'Cause in a lot of games like this, people aren't really looking for complicated stories like Mass Effect or something like that. In a multiplayer space like this, you're not really able to tell that thorough of a story anyway. So I think you're better to keep it simple. Okay, so we done both objectives. We're going to extraction here. So just open this just over this hill. We'll do the extraction and I'll give
Extraction is available.
verdict on the game. See, look, my stamina doesn't regenerate. You have to literally stop moving. That's one of the things that's kind of annoying about the game. So if you're sprinting and it runs out and you keep walking, your stamina does not return until you stop moving.
Extraction request confirmed. Shuttle inbound.
See? When I slow down to walk like this, it should start regenerating. Look. That's a long time. You gotta stand still for about 3 seconds, 5 seconds, when it could just start regenerating. I think they kind of slowed it down. Okay, so we're in extraction.
ETA T-minus 1 minute, 30
Grenades,
seconds.
and we drop them.
Calling in orbital strike.
And I will say this is one of the fantastic parts of it. You see, we drop in this orbital, boom, and it cleans up a whole group of guys. Very good. So they did a fantastic job of presentation.
How'd you like
Overall,
the taste of freedom?
what's the word?
T-minus 1 minute.
Like just the feel of what's happening. Feel it. And that's where I give the game points. I think if you give this game a year and really flesh out the game, like a typical live service or multiplayer game, you gotta wait for them to add content, you gotta wait for them. And this game is very bare bones. Very bare bones. There's not really a lot to sink your teeth into this game. I would have liked a lot more RPG design, where I could really sink my teeth into maybe upgrading armor and weapons, and possibly even some sort of like character tree where you can develop
ETA T-minus 10 seconds.
like but
Mag's empty.
okay, so in the end here,
This is Pelican 1. I have visual on the extraction zone.
coming in, hopefully it doesn't land on anyone.
This is Pelican 1, preparing for touchdown.
Actually, I'll show you. Coming in here. Not really a lot of bugs spawning. So very
Mag's empty.
so get in here. Okay, we're stuck on the edge. What the?
Pelican 1, preparing to depart. Shuttle launch in 20 seconds.
Wait for our buddy to get
Extraction
into
complete.
and we'll-
Pelican 1 beginning ascent.
So overall, out of 5, I
You have
Just
maintained
because
our
I think-
way of life.
the gameplay, the powers, the overall feel of the game does feel good at points, right? When it starts to get interesting, when it drops in a bomb, it is kind of a fun design. I think my core issues with the game are rather poor progression, like really bad. Like if you want any sort of development of your character, don't play this game. It's awful. Because you're getting points, you're getting requisition slips, you're getting these things to unlock things, but nothing really feels like it's You have slight variations in the armor, but it's negligible. Most people are probably just going to equip the medium armor. For the most part. I don't really think. You could make slight variations, but it's pretty much negligible. Okay, so let's return to the ship. I'll talk about a few things quickly. So requisitions, if you go into requisitions, you get these style of battle pass things that they keep adding into the game. Again, not a fan. I think this is rather terrible. And you go through and you kind of unlock in order. But for the most part, everything is almost the same generally. Like I said about the primary weapons, everything feels like scrap. Generally, there's the one shotgun that's good. You've got other passes here, so that's kind of like the gist of upgrading your character. And then leveling up, which the leveling up is completely pointless for the most part. You're unlocking a few of these stratagems which these are your powers, your drop-in powers, like the guard dog that I used there, or the sniper rifle, right? But you unlock everything by level 15-20. So it's, and then ship modules, they're earned through acquiring these to upgrade. And for the most, some of these are kind of interesting, but the idea of farming these is not fun to me. And farming these to, and it's a lot. These are not cheap. So you're farming for a long time. So that's the core progression in the game, which honestly is terrible. And then the weapon progression and equipping and all that is kind of terrible as well. So yeah, 2 out of 5. If you're playing for story, progression, single player, matchmaking, do not buy this game. If you have a core friend base that's really into the game, you could maybe try it out. That is the nice thing about the game, and that's why I give it some extra points, because it is cheaper at $30 to $40 depending where you live. But that being said, like, that isn't good enough for me. And if the game was
You're
60,
doing
I would get it.
democracy's work.
Just straight up. Honestly, I would say don't even come anywhere near it at $60. But 30 is like, as kind of a novelty side game that you're just gonna jump into like once a week with friends. It's not bad. So yeah, that's the review of Helldivers 2. I'll be waiting. I'm gonna keep playing the game.
The
here and
hour of
there,
our next
if I
victory
have friends
rapidly
online,
approaches.
and waiting for
Let us
additional
cleanse the
content and
galaxy of
updates.
alien scum.
Ideally waiting for updates that actually add things to the game and new systems. I don't know if that's even on their horizon for the game, or if they're just content being what they are. But for me, in a multiplayer based game, to have no progression basically is inexcusable, and the game is mostly just boring. So 2 out of 5. And thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.